Hi, everybody. This is day 1542. Let me make sure everything is working. Everything is on. Okay, so I'm going to try to play this. It's 1542 days since Richard was premeditatedly murdered on Fort Bliss. And that was a code red, an internal murder on April 24th. Before we received the official declaration. And, Bill Hicks, he schemed. He, he schemed to remove and replace the duly elected District Attorney Yvonne Rosales. And he was appointed, which, makes you really wonder how that all happened because of his background being so problematic. His professional life is so problematic, and now we're getting information coming in that we're going to try to corroborate. It's been coming in for quite a while about the business dealings that he has had, who he's represented, and those connections with Leilani Hart. And, this want to preserve him in that office, even though he is not. The law says he is not the district attorney. And, we cannot just apply the law when we want to. And I know that Montoya is running against Bill Hicks. I know there's problems everywhere. I know. I mean, we've been exposing for 4 years all of the problems with all the office holders, um, the fake imposters at the El Paso Criminal Law Magistrate Court that are putting on judge robes and picking up the hammer and telling people what to do without any authority, and of course Mario Raskin Ortiz sucking close to $450,000 a year, probably more with all his fees for he's charging fees for doing his job, and he is illegal. He's illegal as a chief medical examiner. And then, of course, you have this usurper district attorney. And this has Bill Hicks, right? He's a usurper. He cannot be the district attorney, take an oath without first signing the statement of officer, which is the anti-bribery statement. It just doesn't happen. It just doesn't work that way. And it seems like this can be, to me, knowing other things, knowing other positions and other offices, that it seems like this is a standard operating procedure, that people are taking oaths and then going, oh, I forgot to sign my statement of officer, my anti-bribery statement, and let me sign that now, and signing it after and dating it after the oath of office and saying, see, I signed it. No, it doesn't work that way, because in the court, then that is null and void, the anti-bribery statement. It has to be signed before the oath, because you're saying that you have not taken a bribe to get this office, that you do not have other loyalties other than to do your job as, in this case, a district attorney. And it's very clear that there is a lot of finagling going on, because even when Bill Hicks got caught and he was tampering with the timestamps on that, he could not put that timestamp before. That would make the anti-bribery statement a valid testimony, a valid piece of evidence, and he could be then charged with perjury, or worse for evidence that would prove that he was indeed bribed and signed that paper, lying, committing perjury. And he even admitted that he was bribed in a news article. He let it slip. So, he doesn't want any kind of valid documentation, and a anti-bribery document after the oath of office is invalid, just like the oath of office is invalid. Both of them are invalid. And so the law says he's no longer the district attorney. So if he's no longer district attorney, right, and he isn't, then there cannot be a gap, right? There cannot be a gap. It's too important of a position. So the Texas Constitution has a provision. It's called the holdover provision. And that means that the prior district attorney must stay in that position until a new district attorney is voted on, elected, or appointed. And that's why Yvonne Rosales is the rightful district attorney, whether she wants to be or not, whether she resigned in duress or not. She is right now the rightful district attorney. And, we've been really going over this, and it all makes sense, doesn't it? You have the district attorney's position. That district attorney's position is very important because they prosecute crime. That position cannot be left open. It has to be filled. There cannot be a gap. If something happens and the district attorney wants to resign or resigns in duress or whatever, and then whoever is appointed to come in or elected to come in, something happens like a car accident or whatever, God forbid, and that district attorney cannot resign, cannot be removed from office until another district attorney is appointed for that place. There cannot be a gap, and that's why there is this holdover provision in the Texas Constitution. So, El Paso has gone without a legitimate district attorney since December of 2022. Okay, since December 2022, they have gone without a district attorney. And so there is no wonder why these cases have been left in a mess, why that office is a mess. And, if you are working in that office, if I were you, I'd try to go get a different job, because I don't think you want to be associated with Bill Hicks at all. And so in order to get those thoughts across, we put together this music video. I'm going to play it right now, and I hope that it works. So here it goes, with that all said.
The Bill Hicks, you've got a troubled past. Complaints from the bar, they're piling up fast. You've been sued for rent you never paid, and those taxes, man, they're years delayed. Schemed and plotted to take control, petitioned an elected DA out of the role. Associating with extortion and fraud, it's clear you've broken more than just the law. Oaths mean nothing without that anti-bribe line. The law's clear, oaths are void if you don't first sign. The law says that Bill Hicks is not the DA. He didn't do it right, appoint the wrong way. The law says Bill Hicks is not the rightful DA. Bill Hicks scheme, but it's all in vain. Fake DA, fake oath, fake blame, tampering with records, a criminal's game. Impersonation, oppression is clear, but the law's gonna end Bill Hicks' career. Oaths mean nothing without that anti-bribe line. The law's clear, oaths are void if you don't first sign. Clear you've broken more than just the law. The law says that Bill Hicks is not the DA. He didn't do it right, appoint the wrong way. The law says Bill Hicks is not the rightful DA. Bill Hicks scheme, but it's all in vain. Fake DA, fake oath, fake blame, tampering with records, a criminal's game. Impersonation, oppression is clear, but the law's gonna end Bill Hicks' career. That Bill Hicks is not the DA. He didn't do it right, appoint the wrong way. The law says Bill Hicks is not the rightful DA. Bill Hicks scheme, but it's all in vain. Fake oath, fake blame, tampering with records, a criminal's game. Impersonation, oppression, it's clear, but the law's gonna end Bill Hicks' career.
Okay, so I'm going to put that out, pass around. And this is, our intention is not to help Montoya. The problem is Bill Hicks and those who have supported him, who have been over and over again told, because let me tell you, this has been going on since December of 2022. Before we even knew, he was already being called out for his tampering, for being called out for not signing his statement of officer, his anti-bribery statement before he took the oath of office. Before we even knew, he was being reported. He was being absolutely called out for that. And now there are active and ongoing investigations. And we have just joined in with, look, the SB4 case. It all explains why he has not reached out to us after us trying to communicate with him, why he even blocked us being able to send him an email with all the information about our son's case. It also, really the new information coming out about business connections, because he absolutely has Hicks law firm with other conflicts of interest, right? With this group from Bliss Avenue, he has those conflicts of interest with Bliss Avenue, and that means real connections with Leilani Hart, and more and more. And so, not only will his career end, but in colluding and no covering up for the cold-blooded uh, internal code red murder of a young, beautiful whistleblower soldier on Fort Bliss. Um, yeah, I think that we have every right to call him out, to ask to bring him to justice, to, when you betray all of El Paso, it's not just find Richard Halliday or our family or Richard that he has betrayed, or Fort Bliss and all the service members, and it is all of El Paso, because that the Texas Constitution doesn't allow for that big of a gap from December 2022 till now to exist. And because of his scheming, because of his miming impersonation, he has denied El Paso their honest service for their tax money. And so, there's so many crimes here that all needs to be exposed through the media, and we have let the media know. The media knows all of this, okay? The media knows this. We have been writing and writing and writing. Lawyers know this. The law enforcement know this. Greg Abbott knows this. AG Ken Paxton knows this. They all know that Bill Hicks is not the rightful DA, and it's not us saying it. It's the law that's saying it. And this has been going on since December 2022, January 2022, okay? January 2023. Since January 2023, he should have absolutely been put into handcuffs in January, February at the latest, into handcuffs. And the El Paso people given a DA that would serve them with honest service, right, for their money. But he's been sucking up the money from the Walmart mass shooting, from the other cases. He's been sucking up the money, using that money, and he's not even the rightful DA. He was even being sued, and he's not the rightful DA. So, and this is before Montoya got in the race. And I know Montoya was in the race before with Yvonne Rosales and lost, right? So, this whole thing about trying to defend, trying to make Montoya out to be the worst guy than Bill Hicks. How much worse can you get than Bill Hicks playing politics with a mass shooting case, right? With a mass shooting case, and then letting Joe Spencer suck in millions of dollars, knowing that his client had autism, a severe mental health condition, and kept that from the public, knowing that there is all kinds of evidence out there of multiple shooters. And, then you have the survival of those that were shot in the chest twice, shot in the abdomen twice. Where are they? Where are, that needs to all be put in a trial. That would have been very quick. But no, Joe Spencer sucked that money. He he pleaded guilty in the federal case without telling the public what was all going on, giving Patrick Crusius I don't know who else gets a worse sentence as that is outside of the death penalty than 1,000 years in the Alcatraz of the Rockies in Colorado. In Colorado, right? Um, and then kept in isolation. It looks like he's even being starved. Um, which is, and you can say all the hateful things you want about him and his involvement in all of this, but we have something called the law, and we have a humanitarian law, and that law needs to be followed, and it needs to be followed with Bill Hicks. And it goes to this whole back to Saul, King Saul in the Bible. And there's many examples, but this one is super important because King Saul was appointed by God, right? Given this blessing by God to be the king. And Saul got too big for his britches. He thought that he knew more than God. And so he just started disobeying God, disobeying God. And when you disobey God, what does that mean? You disobey the law. Because every word that comes from the mouth of God is law word. And so, he wasn't listening to the law. He wasn't obeying the law. And he thought that whatever he could do would be excuses enough. He could give a sacrifice without waiting for Samuel. The whole liturgical, the whole system, how the whole system worked. And God was, rejected the sacrifice because he had no patience. He had no humility to wait for the right way and do the right thing and follow the law. And this is what's happening right now. These leaders only pick the law when it comes handy for them to do so. They dig through the law to find out something that it's handy for them, that they can retaliate and for their political ends. They want to weaponize our law for their political ends, for their greed, for their whatever. But no, it doesn't work that way. Bill Hicks, the law says that Bill Hicks is not the DA. And anybody that wants a successful country, a successful city, a successful legal system, and a fair legal system, and a humane legal system, will absolutely understand what I'm saying. Because there has to be a restraint. The whole reason for the law is a restraint for the evil. And that's not what's happening, is it? We have 325 to 500,000, and I think maybe it's more, of unaccompanied children that are now mostly dead because of trafficking. Sex trafficking, human trafficking, drug trafficking, ammunition trafficking, weapons trafficking, equipment trafficking, you name it. And then they do these businesses as shell companies and launder the money, and then they go and invest it in these real estate deals and everything like that. But in order to cover up that crime, they need to get a fake DA in there. They need to get a fake chief medical examiner in there, who is a judicial officer. They really need fake judges, right? They need fake judges that are, let's have appointed DA that's fake, appointed judges that are fake. Let's debauch our system so that we could carry on with our crime, and they have loyalties to our criminal network instead of the very people that they are getting paid by, that they should serve. And so, when all this happened with Richard being a whistleblower, Richard being a soldier, Richard being murdered, Richard being retaliated and then murdered, and then the cover up, being thrown out, we couldn't even, get any answers at all because of the delay. And don't forget about Glennon Oakley Jr. Don't forget about Asia Graham. Asia Graham died after Richard. What about the 14-year-old girl that was being pimped out on Fort Bliss in the barracks? In the barracks. What about the young girls coming on for the parties during the mandates? During the mandates that, I'm sure they weren't standing 6 feet apart during these parties with these soldiers. The breaches of security, the breaches of morality, the breaches of standard operating procedures destroyed esprit de corps, which destroys readiness, army readiness. And they talk about readiness, military readiness all the time. All the time. I've heard it all my life. Army readiness, army readiness. Of course, it's military readiness, right? If you don't have esprit de corps and you don't have readiness, and you heard that from that soldier that was at Fort Bliss who went to Ukraine to fight, and then he defected into Russia, and RT interviewed him, and he said when he was at Fort Bliss, he stayed drunk all the time. And that corroborated, that wasn't the first time I heard that. I was being told all the time of the retaliation, of the harassment, of the drunkenness. And then, you have it on record. What's going on our military installation that we pay for. And then you find out that the generals, not only the director of emergency services, not only the child protective services on there, and the child youth services, and Ogle. Not only that, but then the whole chain of command, you have the G3 corrupted, and they have conflicts of interest. And you're wondering, these generals are lying to me about Nadal Bayim? They're lying to us about Tavita Nusa? They're lying to us about Leilani Hart? Leilani Hart has, oh my gosh, she has so many violations just on Fort Bliss, including an assault at a church on Fort Bliss. That's on top of, in addition to, all the other, her long criminal history. Why is she allowed on Fort Bliss to have control of the CID office, to have unauthorized access to CID files, which specifically is Richard's file, to manipulate Richard's file when her son, Dallas Hart, is Richard's platoon leader and is the prime suspect in the murder of Richard? And so is she with Tavita Nusa. And you have the generals lying to us. You have then the whole switchover in 22 when things got very tough, right? Things got very tough for them because of us finding out who Nadal Bayim was, and for us to always be on these live streams and start exposing all of these problems. And then they put out their minions, they put out their operatives, they put out their agents out there to, harass us. That's 2023 is when the major harassment started. The very violent, ugly, day in and day out for over 3 months started until we trace their numbers back. And where do those numbers go to? Interesting, right? DC. Interesting. Santa Clara, California. Uh, you know, was that Google? Who makes loads of money? Who is pocketing all of this money for all this trafficking at the border? Right? One of the numbers went to Toronto. One of them went to NATO. NATO. And one of them went to Seoul, South Korea, across the FBI office, the American FBI office, and Korea is ADA, huge ADA, which was Richards. Um, so absolutely, I think they were shocked that we were able to trace their numbers, because these were supposed to be untraceable numbers. But God is good. I think they were surprised when we found out who they were lying to us to our face about, when we said, this is Nadal Baim. I think they were, like, we found out who he is. Oh, he's a nobody. What do you mean he's a nobody? He is the father-in-law of Bradford Bugado. Not only that, but he's with Western Frontier Trading, bidding ammunition to the El Paso Police Department and more and more. And he's in business with these high-class car people. And where's Richard's car, right? And then we start connecting the business dots, the LLCs, and then, the real estate dealings. And then you have the whole Bliss Avenue coming in, and Jonathan Ambrose connecting to all of that, and Bill Hicks connecting to all that, and Felix Valenzuela connecting to all that. And there's this underlining common denominator with the Mormon church. The Mormon congregation. So, and why does Leilani Hart want Bill Hicks to continue to be the DA? Well, I absolutely understand why. Because they've got to have a fake DA in there. They've got to have an illegitimate DA in there for the crime to continue, because a true legitimate DA will identify the crime, document the crime. And those that murdered Richard in cold blood by an order of a code red, they'll be facing the death penalty. And what about these generals? What about the chain of command, right? What about the chain of command? What about his unit? His unit is not safe. They're not safe under Bill Hicks. They're not safe under these generals. They're not safe, thinking that, okay, we were told not to say anything and we're going to be safe. No, we are in the wave of accountability here. And these agencies that look like giants, they are absolutely weak. They've built their agencies, they've built their institutions on sand because they forsook the law. And as long as Team Find Richard Halliday respects the law, they will be on a firm foundation. Absolutely. And this, that's what it's all about, right? Because if you have ever done any kind of martial arts, the first thing that you want to do is get your opponent off balance. Off balance. If they're not on firm foundation, they can fall easily. And this is what has been happening. It's been one fall after the other for them. And our strategy is to obey the law. That's our strategy. To obey the law. To identify the crime. To document the crime. To file the crime, the documents, to get the open records. And to be patient. Obedient, humble, patient. It's my prayer all the time. Because the frustration level, the frustration level has to be managed. And when this whole announcement of the wave of accountability happened, and it was Saint Michael, the Archangel, and all the angels' day, and he had that calm face. I'm going to try to get a picture because it meant that much to us to know to have a calm, patient face while slaying the devil. Because there's 500,000 children that are mostly dead. And that is unacceptable. That is so evil. That's so evil. And we know that Richard was whistleblowing on the criminal trafficking. And he knew things about the Walmart mass shooting. That's why they're so connected. If one gets solved, the other gets solved. That's why it's been so important for this fake DA office. The office isn't. Fake Bill Hicks to play politics with these cases. One, to just delay with the Walmart mass shooting, and with Richard's case, to hide it, to try to erase Richard's name. But if one or the other gets solved, the other one will. It's just it's that intertwined with one another. And this case, and I haven't mentioned it in a couple nights, but this FBI Julio Cordero, who was murdered not too long ago on the El Paso ISD police officer at Franklin High School, I believe. That is also intertwined with Richard's case. Just to let you know, because this FBI agent that was suspiciously killed, he is an expert witness. He was an expert witness for the Walmart mass shooting. And there's more to it than that. There's more to it. But it is really important to understand that they have conflicts of interest. All of these people have conflicts of interest. Their business conflicts of interest. There are association conflicts of interest. There is sex cult conflicts of interest. It's Mormon conflicts of interest. They have conflicts of interest. And it is, it's all being revealed. We have the enough. And those that, there was a comment by Delaris that said that these people need to come forward, but they don't need to come forward. You're saying, oh, the criminal group, needs to come forward and tell what they know. I don't know. It would be smart for them to come forward. It would be smart for them, but we don't need them to come forward. They need us. They need us. They need Um, yeah, because accountability is coming and that cooperation um, could be helpful to them. But we don't need them. And I think that that is a good message to get out there, that we don't need them, but they need us. They need us. And so, and Bill Hicks, the law says that he is not the DA. The law says Yvonne Rosales is the DA, whether she wants to be or not, because of the holdover provision. It's very interesting. And you can go and look that up in the Texas Constitution. It's very interesting. And we have, listed this code and the sections and everything and sent it off to so many people. So, it's absolutely being investigated. You saw that. We have ongoing and active investigations. We posted that for the sake of El Paso because it's so important. It's so important to know what the Texas Constitution says when it comes to the DA, what the Texas Constitution says when it comes to the magistrate court in El Paso, the criminal law magistrate court. It's very important to know what the Constitution says about the medical examiner, the judicial officer that needs to be a citizen. And, it's such a big position because, you'd really want that person to have a law degree and a medical degree. When you're deciding the cause and manner of death and testifying in court on the cause and manner of death, when you are, on a court and you control investigations, when you are a DA and you are identifying crime, documenting it, and prosecuting it, those are such important. See why they had to make it a fake DA and a fake chief medical examiner and a fake panel of judges. Can you imagine if we had legitimate, how absolutely amazing El Paso would be? The job opportunities, the wealth. Can you imagine how much money it would save the taxpayers to have a managed crime? It's costing so much money and so much pain, so many lives. So thank you for coming on, Anicia. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for your love. And we are working very, very hard. We want Richard's remains. I think we're going to get the accountability before the remains. But we want our son's remains. And of course, we want those that murdered Richard, those that retaliated against him, those that covered it up, those that thought that they could listen to the criminals, the absolute criminal. Criminals in uniform is very dangerous because it gives them, a look of authority, a look of nobility, or, that they have something that needs to be listened to. But those generals, like General Mealy, came out and was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be court-martialed. Absolutely. General Mealy needs to be stripped from any association from his military history. He is such a a traitor to our country, to our service members. Mealy absolutely needs to never see another star. He needs to be stripped of his stars, stripped of the name of general, stripped of the name of ever being associated with anything in the military. He's a disgrace. And if you ask me, he needs to face the death penalty for all the harm. That Afghanistan withdrawal, the response to Richard's case, and the unseen. It's a disgust. And I hope he's being haunted every night with the thought that that could happen, that accountability could happen. And I'm absolutely voting for Trump, for a smidgen of the chance for that to happen. Because otherwise, we'll have more of him, of Mealy's, of Sean Bernabe's, of James McConville's, of Donna Martin's, of Christine Wormuth's, of Austin, what's his first name, of Michael Xavier Garrett, who his little minions were absolutely obstructing justice in our son's case. Absolutely. And Clem Coward, just a 2-star, right? Sean Bernabe's a 3-star right now. Can you imagine? Can you imagine they gave him that Senate Arms Committee needs to be held accountable, because they're the ones that made these criminals generals. This is the level of this case. It's huge. And it's built on sand. Their power is just sand. It's just their paper tigers. They're, because they have absolutely rejected the law. And when you reject the law, you have no skeleton anymore. You have no firm foundation anymore. You're just goo. It's just like pouring water over the Wicked Witch of the East, right? And she just melts down because she has no foundation. She has no skeleton to hold herself together. She has no basis. So I just want to say thank you so much to everybody, and please continue to share these. Please continue to watch. This is so important to El Paso, to Fort Bliss, to our military, all the way. It's so huge. I don't even know how huge it is because it's so huge. And it absolutely goes into Mexico. This is an international case. It goes into Germany, y'all. It goes into Germany. And Ireland. So thank you so much for sticking with us. We love you, and we will be back tomorrow, God willing. Bye-bye. Oh, by the way, the law